Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sewing up the Pastry Shop Block of the Month 6. I apologize for this being a little bit late. I was gone at retreat, but I'm home now, so I'm excited to get these blocks made. I've already taken a peek and cut out all my fabrics, and they look like they're going to be a lot of fun, so I hope you join me today. Okay, so the first block we're going to work on is the Exploding Star block, and as you can see, I've got all the components laid out here. This bigger green square, the floral, is going to be our center square, so I'm going to set that guy aside just for a little bit. And then these pieces here are going to make the star legs, so I'm going to put these aside for a minute. We'll do that after we do this part. And all of these pieces here, so one per corner, makes up your corner units of this block. So the green, the white background, and let me see if I can find the dimensions of these really quick. I'll just measure them on my mat because I don't see them. I think that's a 2-inch square. I believe this one's a 2.5 inch. Yeah. So 2.5, your 2-inch square, and then your little rectangles and your red 2-inch pieces. So we're going to start by putting these red pieces on to the white. And these are going to go in opposite directions for the way we're going to put this together. And I already went ahead and put one of the cornerstones together just for myself to know what I was doing. And this is what it's going to look like. So as you can see, the reds are going to have to go on opposite corners to make this little block, or little unit. So that's what we're aiming for right there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line these up to make sure that I do them in the correct direction. So I'm going to line these up. Now you can draw a line from corner to corner if you like. I have the seam guide tape on my machine, and with these little squares I find that that's adequate. Anything more than like 3.5 inch squares, I start drawing the lines, but if I don't have to, I definitely don't because it saves some time. So for these guys, you're gonna draw a line from the top left to the bottom right, or sew a line. And then for the other 4, you're going to line them up the same way, but you're going to sew the opposite direction. So instead of from the top left to the bottom right, you're going to go from the bottom left to the top right. So this one I'm going to sew from here to here, and this one I'm going to sew from here to here. So let's start by doing that. So make sure you have 4 of each going opposite directions. These are going to build those cornerstones right here. Or those corner pieces, I should say, not cornerstones. So I've got that one going from down here, or that, whichever way your brain works. So I'm going to make sure that I make this one from down here to up here, so opposite of this one. So you may want to chain piece all 4 of these first, lay them out, and then chain piece the other 4 to make sure that you're going the opposite direction. That's what I would do, just because I would be worried that I would sew them the wrong way. But that's just my brain. Okay, so once these are all sewn, all 4 sets, because you're going to have 4 corner pieces, obviously, you're going to trim these away 1/4 inch from where you just sewed. And I'm just going to cut them. If you feel more comfortable with a rotary cutter and a ruler, go ahead and do that. Just going to trim them. And then we're going to give them a press, and we're going to press out towards the red. And this is, I get asked this question every time I make a video, but this is the Acorn Easy Press Precision Piecing Pen. It contains a concentrated starch alternative, similar to Best Press, but not Best Press, that you just apply right on your seams, on your, like what, I'm putting it right on the, literally right on the thread that I used to make my seam. And it just helps make your blocks, your pieces super flat when you press them. So I really like it. I get asked all the time how my blocks are so precise, and I really don't think it's me. I have a really great straight stitch sewing machine that does really well. Like, I can put the fabric in there wonky, and it stitches straight no matter what. And I like to use this Easy Press it makes my blocks nice and flat. And I think the flatter your pieces are, the better your block comes together. So, because you don't have any fabric sort of like folding over, losing any width, like size, that kind of thing. So anyway, I thought I'd mention it because I always get asked. All right, so I'm going to turn this towards me so I can see. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to lay this block out. So I'm going to put the green here and the white here. I'm going to match this one. That's another reason I like to make one ahead of time so I know what I'm doing. So as I can see this red is here, so I'm going to put this one right here and then this one right here. So I'm going to sew these two together and then sew these two together. Okay, and I'm not a big person for pressing towards the white. I usually press towards the color, but in this case I think for these two pieces to set well together, to nest up when we sew them, I think I'm going to press towards the solids because you have some seams here which will cause bulk, so I think they'll lay much nicer if we press it that way. But you can definitely do your own thing, or you can even press open if that's what you like. I don't tend to press open unless there's a lot of bulk, just because it can make your seams a little bit weak, but I know people who press open all the time and never have a problem with that. So it's definitely down to your preference. And I also like to finger press all of my seams. I don't know if you guys do that. That does seem to help make your seams a little flatter as well, because you've already kind of like made the fabric go where you want it, and by pressing you're just, you know, pressing it down. But it tends to obey better if you do these extra little things. Okay, so looking at my sample here again to make sure I lined it up correctly. Now I'm just going to sew these two halves together. And I'm just going to, I'm not going to pin, I'm not a pinner, you guys know that. But if you're a pinner, feel free to pin right here at this intersection. But I'm just going to feel and make sure, nesting your seams if you're brand new, is if the one is going that way and the other is going that way, which is what I have, I'm going to feel where those fit nicely right together. It almost creates like a little channel for this one to fit against. So I can feel that those are nice and tight together. So now I'm going to take this over here and sew it. And I can still feel that those seams are together, so hopefully when I open this, it will have come out the way I want. Okay, good. That looks nice. All right, so this I did press open, as you can see here on this one, so I'm going to go ahead and press this one open too. As we join this to other pieces in the block, it could get bulky. So I definitely want to press this one open. So I'm going to just finger press it a little bit, add my acorn, and then give it a press over here. I don't like steam. I've been asked why I use this instead of steam. Because steam can warp your fabric. Steam actually can separate the fibers and make your fabric warp, and you can either make crooked or just stretch it out where it's too big. So that's why I like to use this instead. So there we have it. There's those. And you're going to end up making 4 of those guys all together. So I've already done the other ones. So that's what you should have for those. So I'm going to set those aside for now with this centerpiece, because the centerpiece we're not doing anything with. And I'm going to grab this white and these 2 reds. So now what we're making is we're going to make these little blocks here that are going to form the star legs to this center. So we're going to do this just like a flying geese. We're going to add one to one side and sew corner to corner, and then we're going to stitch this, iron it out so it'll be like this, and then we're going to do the other side, same thing, corner to corner, stitch, and flip it out. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So far so good. This block is going fairly quickly. And you're going to do each of these, the corner units and these star leg units 4 times. And this little white piece is, this side is the short side and there's a long side. So make sure you're adding the red to the short side. I should have said that earlier. Okay. Give that guy a press. And then I'm going to add this guy to this side. And again, you might want to draw the lines here, but I've got my seam guide tape right here on my machine, you guys can see. And I just, where I'm going to sew is the red line. The black line is the 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I just go by that for small enough pieces. When they get a little bit bigger, I have to draw the lines because you can't, my tape only goes so far, so I can't see where to sew. But if you don't have that, definitely draw some lines on there corner to corner so you can sew right on that line. Give that guy a press. All right, so now I have all 4 of these guys done. So now we can build this block. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew 2 of these to either side of this center. So just like this. So as you can see, that's kind of making the star legs. So let's do that first and then we'll lay out the rest of this block. And I definitely kept my point there, and that's the other tip I have for you guys. If you want to make sure you don't lose your points, you can sew from either side, it doesn't really matter, but if you're concerned about losing your points, put the side with the flying geese, that's the solid side, on top, and this little X where the, I don't know if you guys can see that, probably not. There's a little X right here where the threads crossed. If you want to make sure you don't lose your points, go just to that side of the X and the side closest to the end, and you will make sure you won't lose your points that way. If you sew on that X or you sew to that side of the X, you'll lose your point. You might not lose it if you sew on the X, but it'd be close. So that's just my one little tip for you guys, to not lose your points when you're putting these together. So yeah, where I sewed here, I know you guys can't see the sew lines, but I'm just 1 thread over from that. So I should be able to open it up and see that I have a point there, which I do. So yay. All right. Let me press those guys. Did I put acorn on that one? Don't know. I'll do it again. And you can put the acorn on either side of the fabric. You can either put it right on the stitches, or you can just put it on that seam line like I just did on the front there. I couldn't remember if I put any on that one or not before, so put it now. All right, so there's the center of our block. Now I'm going to lay out the rest here. This is a fun and quick block. So we're just going to lay those two there. Make sure our star legs are pointed down towards the center. Same thing here. And lay these guys out. All right, so now we're just going to sew these together. I'm going to grab these first. And these are pressed in, so I'm going to press these guys out. Just so when we put the rows together, everything nests up really nicely. Okay, now the bottom one. All right, now I'm just going to give these guys a press, and then we can sew all the rows together to have our block. Oh, pretty. This block is going to be really gorgeous. Okay, now we can put these together. And since we pressed opposite directions, they should nest up fairly well. If you don't pin like I do, just take your time. Make sure you line up everything. Oh, very nice. Okay, that came out well. All right, last piece. And we will be done with the exploding star block. All right, so there is the exploding star block. I still need to iron it, of course, but I will go ahead and press this and then come back and we will do the second block, which is the holly wreath block. Okay, so now I've got all my pieces set up for the holly wreath block. This is the centerpiece. This right here is going to make up kind of, it's not really a corner piece, but kind of close to the corners. These are going to be sort of the points of the wreath, and then these are definitely going to make up the corners right here. So I'm just going to sort of go out of order of the instructions. If you're somebody who needs to go by the instructions, we're still doing the same things. I'm just doing them in a different order. And the reason I'm going to do that is this is one of the last things the instructions said to do was add these little pieces to each corner. This is the center of the wreath. But these pieces are tiny, and I'm afraid I'm going to lose them. So I'm going to do this one first. So I'm just going a little bit out of order, but it's the same instructions. So you're just going to add one of these to each corner and sew corner to corner. And then we're going to trim this away and flip it. So there's just a little green corner on this block. So I'm going to do these ones first and get this out of the way, just because I don't want to lose all these little pieces. Okay, really simple. And I'm actually just going to, since none of them are touching, I'm going to add all 4 and then trim them and press them all at the same time rather than doing one at a time. So let's do that first. Okay, my fabric is fraying a little bit here, so I'm going to trim that away first before it gets caught on anything else, because it kind of got caught on this. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to trim these 1/4 inch away, and I'm going to press them all, and then our center will be done and we could just set that aside for a while. This block's going to take you a little bit longer than the other block. There's just more things to sew and cut. Still not a hard block, but a lot more little things to fit together. So I thought I'd go ahead and get the center out of the way. That way it's done. And when we finish all the other pieces, we'll be ready just to assemble this block. Now I wouldn't cut this fabric until right before you're ready to go ahead and start sewing. It does seem to fray quite a bit, this white. I'm not sure why. So I wouldn't cut it if I were you until you're ready. Because I just cut this yesterday. And it's sort of fraying already, so. But good thing is I'm putting it in the block today, so it'll behave itself after that. All right, so there's my center. That's all done. So I'm going to set that aside for now. And we're going to work on these other pieces. So the next thing we have to do is make the pieces that they're going to go next to this piece. They're not quite part of the corner, they're sort of part of this piece, so we'll do that next. So that's these guys here, these 2 reds, 2 little greens, and 2 whites. So again, just like the other block, we're going to sew these onto the red, and we're going to sew them opposite directions. So you're going to have 4 of these and 4 of these opposite directions. So I'm going to do one first, And this one I'm going to sew from the top left to the bottom right. And this guy I'm going to sew from the top right to the bottom left. So again, I would probably chain piece all four the one direction first and then chain piece the other four the other direction, just to make sure that you've got them all going the way they're supposed to go. So I've got that one. I'm going to set that right there and look at it so I make sure I don't sew this one that way. But if you do, there's always Jack, right? Okay, so yep, those are both in opposite directions. So I'm going to go ahead and trim these 1/4 inch away. And we're going to press these guys before we do the next step. Okay. Oh, these little tiny pieces. Be so cute though. Okay, give these guys a press. Alrighty. Alright, so those, as you can see, are opposite directions. So now we're going to add these little white guys. So this one here, we're going to add the white. We're going to line that up on the top across the red, not on the side with the green on the bottom, but with just the red. And we're going to sew this one in the same direction that we sewed the green. So from the top left to the bottom right. So I'm going to start with that one. And again, I would recommend doing all four at the same time, because this is where mistakes can happen when you have these doing the same kind of thing, but they're going opposite directions. So I've got that one sewn. I'm going to leave that there for a minute. And now this one is different. This one we're going to line up with the bottom, not the top. So the side without the green again. So we have the green up here, but we're going to line this one on the bottom. And again, we're going to do the same thing we did here. We sewed the same direction on the white as we sewed the green. We're going to do the same here. We sewed the green this way, so we're going to sew the white that way. So white goes on the side without the green and sewing the same direction as the green. Hopefully that helps. Okay, and I'm just going to make sure these look correct. Yep, and then I'm going to trim them and press them. Okay. And you're going to make, again, 4 of each of these. And like I said, I think chain piecing will probably be your best bet. Chain piece all one direction first and then the other direction. That way you don't get confused. Because I sure would. Okay, so I'm going to set these guys aside for now. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this rectangle here, and we're going to use the little background squares, the 2-inch background squares, and you're going to sew these on the long side this time, not the short side like the last block, the long side. And we're going to put 1 on each side just like a flying geese. So I'm going to sew corner to corner. And then trim and press, and then sew the other one corner to corner. Okay, now the other side. And trim and press. Okay, you're gonna have 4 of these guys. And now I'm also going to go out of order again. Well, actually, no, I'll go in order. I'm sorry. That way I don't confuse you guys. What we're going to do is we're going to be making a piece that looks like this. So we're going to add these to either side of this block. So if I turn this towards me, the red is pointing down towards the side that's all green. So away from the white. So we want the red pointing towards the green, not the white. You're going to do that on all 4 pieces. So again, this block is not too hard. It's just more steps than that last block. But I think it's going to be really cute when it's all together. And I'm going to press these out. Okay, and then you should have 4 of these that look like this. Now the next thing we're going to do, set these aside, is we are going to make our little pieces for the corners here, which we are going to attach to this. So it's going to end up looking something like this. So I've got one side attached here. And so I'm going to sew these together first, and as you can see, that becomes this piece, and then I'm going to sew this on top of it, and that becomes the corner. Now you're making 4 of these, so you're only attaching it to 2 of these. So you're going to have 2 of these pieces that are going to have these on either side, and the other 2 are going to be the star points on, or the points on the side of the center. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these guys together to make this section here. So this has this project is gotten really fun for me because lately, other than today, it's been cooler here where I live. Today is a little bit different. Yesterday and today were pretty warm, and then it's going to cool off back again. it's been down into the low to mid 70s, and at nighttime getting into the 50s. So it's sort of starting to feel like fall. And I don't know about you guys, but when fall starts coming around here, I love autumn. It's my favorite season. There's pumpkins and apple pickings. We live by a bunch of apple orchards, but fall is or autumn is the precursor to Christmas. So I start getting really excited for sewing Christmas projects. So I'm really excited to see this quilt get done here in the next few months and be ready for Christmas. The last blocks that we have to sew for this quilt to finish it will be, I believe, in November. So I know we're already in September. All this was the August block. I said I'm a little bit behind because I was at retreat, but we only have 3 more months, and so then we're going to get to see this whole quilt together. So I'm getting really excited about it because I really, really like this. It's going to be a beautiful Christmas quilt. And don't forget, there's also a bonus project that Sherry made for us too. So we'll have a couple more things to do in December, which will be fun. We'll have a table runner, I believe, and a little bag. And so I can't wait to get this quilt done and get to those things as well. And that will all happen during Vlogmas, which is a very fun month. A very busy month, but a very fun month here on YouTube for some of us creators that choose to participate in Vlogmas, which I usually do. And I'm planning on again this year. It's kind of a challenge to ourselves to put up a video each day during the season. And December is also my birthday month, so I usually kind of go all out for it and have prizes and fun stuff. So look for that coming up in December. I'm really excited about that. And that's when we'll do the little bag and the table runner that goes with this. Okay, so that's one side, and I've got my other side done. So now I'll have to just grab the center, and we are going to add the 2 pieces that didn't get the corners to the center block, and that's our block. So we've already got 2 rows done. I'm just going to add these, and then we'll have this block all together. So this block isn't hard. There's just more things you have to put together. So it's just a little bit longer because there's a lot of different components, but still all very like simple components. And I pressed those top and bottom rows out, so I'm going to press this in towards the center. So let me know in the comments down below if you're excited for the holiday or the season change. I am very excited for it. I love taking my kids apple picking. And we should be able to do that fairly soon here in Ohio. The apples are just starting to come out or be ripe on the trees, so just waiting for the orchard to tell us we can come pick. Got lots of things going on the next month. I am going to be doing a collab, which you guys will find out about soon, beginning in October. And oops, pressing in, not out. And we've got the Cotton Cat sew along going on, this sew along going on. I've got a retreat coming up, so busy, 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 but fun. And the kids starting school. My kids are homeschooled, so they haven't started yet, but they are starting tomorrow after the holiday. We tend to follow the local school district's schedule as much as possible. And they did go back last week, but they went back sometime in the middle of the week, and we thought it was kind of silly to start for just a couple days, stop for the holiday weekend, and then start again. So they're going to start tomorrow. Okay, we just have to put this guy together. All right. Very nice. Okay. I really like this. Is super cute. And these blocks should end up 10.5 by 10.5 inches unfinished. And so far, so good. Oh, pretty, pretty. Okay, so there's that block. Obviously, I still need to iron it because it's wanting to flip open. But I'm going to go ahead and press this, and then I'll show you both of my blocks done. Okay, as a reminder, here are my blocks. The exploding star block. Really, really pretty. And the holly wreath block. These are so cute. I love them. They went together really well this month. This was month 6, so August's blocks. So I'm going to see you again in just a few weeks for September's blocks, or month 7. And then we have October and November. And in November, we're going to put the whole quilt together. So we don't have that many more blocks to go. I'm really excited to put this quilt together. I love these fabrics. And that's it for this time. Thanks for sewing along with me. And I will see you again next time. Take care. Bye.